Even if you hit the gym, count every calorie, and stick to your diet perfectly, you could still be missing out on one of the simplest ways to burn fat while you sleep. Most people think weight loss happens only during workouts, but here's the truth: your body burns fat all night long if you give it the right fuel. And no, I'm not talking about some fancy supplement or expensive powder. I'm talking about tea. The right teas can trigger fat burning, calm your cravings, and even improve your sleep so your body wakes up lighter the next morning. But here's the catch: not all teas work the same, and most people are drinking the wrong ones before bed. In a few seconds, I'm going to share the top 5 teas you should drink at night if you want to burn fat while you sleep. Watch until the very end, because the last tea on this list is the most effective one, and it's probably not the one you think. Subscribe now if you haven't already, and let's get started. Number 1, oolong tea. If you want one tea that does a solid job helping your body burn more fat while you sleep, oolong is the one most people reach for. It sits in the middle between green and black tea in terms of oxidation, so it still has a fair amount of the same active compounds you hear about in green tea, plus enough caffeine to nudge metabolism without being as buzzy as coffee. The straightforward point is this: regular oolong drinking has been shown to increase the rate your body burns fat. In controlled tests, people who drank full-strength oolong saw fat oxidation go up by roughly 12% over a 24-hour period, and other trials that tracked subjects over days recorded increases in fat burning of about 20% compared with a plain control drink. Those are not tiny numbers. A 12 to 20% bump in fat oxidation, even if it's not the only thing you do, adds up over time. So how does that work in practice? 2 things matter: the plant compounds called catechins and the caffeine. Catechins are natural chemicals that help your body shift toward burning stored fat for fuel, and caffeine speeds things up by raising short-term metabolic rate and making the catechins more effective. When you drink oolong in the evening, studies that actually measured sleep with instruments found that the tea increased fat burning at night without necessarily blowing up sleep quality for the average person. That's relevant because many people are nervous about drinking anything with caffeine before bed. The evidence suggests oolong can raise the share of calories coming from fat during sleep while not making general energy expenditure go through the roof. In one controlled comparison, the extra calorie burn corresponded to a couple of 100 kilojoules per day. Small on its own, but consistent. Now the practical part. If you want to try oolong before bed, use full-strength tea. That means a proper, strong steep rather than a dilute cup. Aim for 1 to 2 cups in the evening, brewed for the time recommended on the package, usually 3 to 5 minutes. Don't add sugar, syrups, or caloric milk. Those will undo the benefit because you'll be adding energy that the body can store. If you're sensitive to caffeine, test it. Start with a small cup and note whether you get wired, restless, or have trouble falling asleep. Some people tolerate a single cup fine and still sleep well. Others prefer to stop tea 2 to 3 hours before lying down. The studies that tracked sleep showed effects on fat oxidation without large changes to standard sleep measures, but caffeine tolerance is very individual, so try it for a few nights and see how your body reacts. If you want to dial it in for weight loss goals, remember that oolong is best used as a small, regular nudge, not a miracle fix. In real-world terms, the metabolic lift from drinking oolong might be equivalent to adding a short walk or choosing to stand more during the day. It's useful, but not huge by itself. People who combined tea with reasonable portion control and light activity saw the most consistent changes in weight over weeks. If you're counting on big drops overnight, that won't happen. What you'll get instead is a steady, small advantage that compounds. Also, oolong does contain caffeine, roughly less than coffee, but not zero. So avoid it if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, have serious heart rhythm issues, or your doctor told you to minimize caffeine. Finally, quality matters. A loose leaf or high-quality bag will usually deliver more active compounds than a weak supermarket bag, and using fresh water that's just off the boil will pull out the most of the good stuff. A few extra tips to make oolong work for you. Drink it unsweetened. Consider adding a squeeze of lemon if you like flavor without calories. And pair the cup with a light bedtime routine that helps sleep. Cool room, no screens, so the metabolic gains aren't offset by poor rest. If you're tracking results, measure body weight and waist once a week, and track how you sleep nightly for 2 to 3 weeks after starting oolong. That will tell you whether it's a good fit for you. In short, oolong gives you a measurable bump in fat burning overnight for many people. It's simple to make, and for most people, 1 to 2 cups in the evening is a sensible starting point. Number 2, rooibos tea. If you want a caffeine-free option you can drink right before bed without worrying about sleep, rooibos is one of the best picks. Rooibos comes from a South African plant and is naturally caffeine-free, which means you can drink it late and still expect to fall asleep normally. What makes rooibos interesting for weight management is that lab and animal studies show it can affect the way fat cells behave. In some experiments, rooibos extracts reduced markers of fat cell formation and lowered inflammatory signals that are tied to weight gain and metabolic problems. Some human studies are small and mixed, but there is evidence that rooibos can influence hormones like leptin that help regulate appetite and energy balance, which could make it easier to manage portion sizes and cravings if you drink it regularly. Here's the user-friendly version. Rooibos won't melt fat by magic, but it helps in ways that make weight control easier. For example, if a cup of rooibos before bed helps reduce late-night snacking by calming cravings, that behavior change alone can lead to noticeable results over time. The active compounds in rooibos, such as asparagine, have been shown in studies to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, which are factors that can make it harder for some people to lose weight. In animal and cell studies, researchers saw declines in the rate at which fat cells stored fat and increases in signals that help fat cells behave more normally. Translating lab numbers to your daily life is never exact, but think of rooibos as a low-risk, low-effort habit that supports better metabolic signals and reduces the temptation to eat junk late at night. Brew it strong and drink it plain. Since it's caffeine-free, you can have 2 to 3 cups in the evening without the sleep concern. If you like a little sweetness, a splash of milk or a teaspoon of honey will add calories. So be mindful. 0-calorie rooibos is the metabolic favorite. The practical routine that works for many people is a cup after dinner and another just before bed as part of a calm-down ritual. The ritual matters. The act of sitting down with a warm mug signals your brain to relax, and combined with the plant compounds in rooibos, it can reduce stress-driven eating. In studies of humans, results aren't dramatic and sometimes vary by study, but the low side effects and the ability to drink it late make rooibos an easy, safe choice for regular use. A few specific pointers. If you're using rooibos because you have metabolic issues like diabetes or are on medications, tell your doctor. Rooibos can interact in rare cases, and you want to be safe. For the average person, a habit of 1 to 3 cups nightly is perfectly reasonable and won't interfere with sleep. Over weeks to months, the benefit will look like slightly fewer late-night calories and improved markers in the body linked to inflammation and metabolic function, rather than a sudden drop in weight. If you track progress, many people notice their late-night cravings fade within a couple of weeks, which often translates to a small but steady loss of weight over a month or 2. If you want to combine rooibos with other habits, try pairing it with a short, light walk after dinner or a consistent bedtime. Small changes stack. Rooibos can give you a non-caloric evening ritual, and the plant compounds offer modest metabolic help. For people who cannot tolerate caffeine or who are trying to avoid stimulants while still getting a metabolic edge, rooibos is a sensible, low-risk pick that you can drink every night. Number 3, chamomile tea. Chamomile is the classic bedtime tea for a reason. It's calming, widely available, and safe for most people. While chamomile isn't a direct fat burner in the way caffeine plus catechin teas are, it helps weight control in a different but important way by improving sleep quality and lowering stress. Poor sleep and stress are 2 of the most powerful things that push people to overeat and store fat. So anything that helps you fall asleep faster, wake up less during the night, or feel calmer in the evening can lead to measurable changes in body weight over weeks and months. Chamomile contains a compound called apigenin that acts on sleep-promoting receptors in the brain, and clinical work shows chamomile can reduce the number of nighttime awakenings and improve subjective sleep quality for many people. For anyone whose evenings are a tangle of racing thoughts and late-night snacking, chamomile can be a direct fix to that pattern. Here's how that translates into numbers, practically speaking. Several sleep-related trials show modest but consistent improvements in sleep measures for people who drink chamomile or take chamomile preparations. Even small changes in sleep, for example, reducing the number of nighttime awakenings or improving sleep efficiency by a few percentage points, are linked to better appetite regulation the next day and a lower tendency to reach for high-calorie foods. In plain terms, better sleep means fewer cravings, less late-night snacking, and more stable blood sugar control, and all of those help you lose or maintain weight without drastic dieting. If you look at population studies, people who sleep regularly and well tend to have lower body mass on average than those who don't. Chamomile won't replace going to bed on time, but it's an easy, low-cost tool that helps some people create real sleep improvements. How to use chamomile for the best effect. Make it part of a consistent wind-down routine. Brew 1 cup of chamomile about 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be asleep. Sit somewhere calm, dim the lights, and avoid screens. Drinking chamomile the same way each night trains your brain. The cup becomes a cue that sleep is coming. Don't add sugar or heavy cream. Keep it plain so you're not adding calories. If stress is a driver of your late-night eating, chamomile can reduce the stress response and make it easier to avoid snacks. Note that while chamomile is safe for most people, it can cause allergic reactions in people who are sensitive to related plants, and it can interact with certain blood thinners. If you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or on prescription medication, talk to your clinician before making it a nightly habit. One practical combo that works: chamomile plus a cup of rooibos on alternating nights, and oolong a few times a week earlier in the evening if you tolerate caffeine. That gives you both direct metabolic nudges and sleep support without piling on caffeine every night. The simplest plan for people trying to lose weight with minimal fuss is keep dinner moderate, have a cup of chamomile or rooibos in the evening instead of a sugary dessert, and if you want a metabolic boost, have oolong earlier in the evening or on days when you don't need perfect sleep. Over weeks, swapping out a 300 to 500 calorie late-night snack for a mug of herbal tea will produce noticeable results. Number 4, peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is another solid option before bed if your goal is to support weight loss while also helping your body wind down. Unlike oolong, it doesn't directly speed up fat oxidation with caffeine and catechins, but peppermint works in a different way that's surprisingly useful. One of its biggest strengths is how it affects digestion and appetite. Research has shown that the scent and compounds in peppermint can reduce hunger levels and food cravings. In some controlled tests, participants exposed to peppermint had fewer urges to snack and consumed fewer calories overall. On average, people reduced their calorie intake by about 10 to 15% compared with those who weren't exposed. That might not sound huge, but cutting even 150 to 200 calories a night can add up to half a pound of fat loss per week if it becomes a consistent habit. The tea itself supports digestion by relaxing the muscles in your gastrointestinal tract. That means if you often feel bloated or heavy after dinner, peppermint tea can help calm that down and let food move through your system more smoothly. When you're less bloated and not fighting cravings, you naturally sleep better. And better sleep, as we know, helps regulate hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which control appetite and fullness. If you're tossing and turning with digestive discomfort, you're more likely to wake up tired and reach for high-calorie foods the next day. By keeping your stomach calm and cravings lower, peppermint tea creates a ripple effect that supports fat loss even though it doesn't burn fat directly like oolong. In practical terms, peppermint tea is caffeine-free, so you can drink it right before bed without worrying about sleep disruption. 1 or 2 cups after dinner or in the hour before sleep is perfect. Keep it plain. Adding sugar or honey cancels out the benefit. Some people even keep peppermint tea bags at work during the day because the scent alone can reduce cravings. Over time, swapping out a late-night dessert or snack with peppermint tea could save you hundreds of calories per week, which translates into real progress on the scale. The key point is consistency. Small calorie cuts and reduced cravings add up. If you're looking for a gentle, relaxing tea that curbs appetite, peppermint deserves a place in your nightly routine. Number 5. Ginger tea. Ginger tea is one of the most powerful digestive teas, and it has several angles that make it helpful for weight loss before bed. Ginger contains natural compounds like gingerol and shogal that improve digestion, speed up stomach emptying, and increase thermogenesis, which means your body generates a little more heat and energy from food. In studies, people who took ginger showed higher fat oxidation and increased calorie burn compared with controls. One trial found that drinking a ginger beverage increased calorie burning by about 43 calories over a few hours, which sounds small but adds up if you drink it regularly. On top of that, ginger has been shown to reduce feelings of hunger. People who consumed ginger tea reported stronger feelings of fullness and ate fewer calories at subsequent meals. The real value of ginger tea before bed is how it tackles the common problem of slow digestion or heavy meals. If you've ever gone to bed feeling stuffed, you know how poor that sleep can be. Ginger stimulates digestive juices, helping food move through your system more efficiently, which reduces bloating and indigestion. That means you're more likely to fall asleep comfortably and stay asleep. Better digestion and sleep together keep your metabolism functioning properly and prevent the hormone disruptions that drive fat storage. Ginger also helps control blood sugar levels, which is important if you tend to crave sweets at night. More stable blood sugar means fewer spikes and crashes, so you're less likely to raid the fridge before bed. Drinking ginger tea is simple. Slice fresh ginger root and steep it in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes, or use a high-quality ginger tea bag. For stronger effects, fresh root is usually best because it contains more active compounds. Since it's naturally caffeine-free, you can safely drink it an hour before bed. Some people like adding a squeeze of lemon for flavor, which can also enhance digestion, but skip the honey if your goal is fat loss. Over time, 1 or 2 cups of ginger tea each night can cut cravings, improve digestion, and give your metabolism a small but meaningful lift. If you're someone who struggles with nighttime snacking, bloating, or blood sugar swings, ginger tea is one of the most effective options to settle your system while supporting fat loss goals. So there you have it, 5 simple teas that can help you burn fat while you sleep and wake up feeling lighter. Try adding one to your nightly routine and let me know which works best for you in the comments. Until next time, take care. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.